Hello, everybody. Thank you again for tuning in. Welcome to our second live lockdown lessons, and thanks everyone for joining us. These are happening every Wednesday and every Friday on my Facebook page, and you're very welcome to tune in. If your parent or guardian say that you can, please feel free to comment and say hello. I'll be giving shout outs through the lessons, so if any of you are around and want to say hello, that would be amazing. Hi, Ruby. There we go. One already. How exciting. And after this, it will also be uploaded onto my Instagram and onto my YouTube channel. So if you've got any friends that aren't on Facebook would like to watch, you can share it there as well. And if you liked it, please give it a like and don't forget to share it with all your friends. Hi, Ophelia. Thank you so much for joining us. So today we are learning all about one of the most common parasites that infect our pets, and that is fleas. And we're doing a tiny bit about tapeworms as well, because you can't talk about one without saying about the other. Hello, Lexi, and hello, Caitlin, and is Eleanor there as well? It'd be great. Thank you very much for joining in. So what I'm going to do now is we're just going to get straight on with it. I'm hoping this will last about half an hour. Hi, Reese, you're back. That's amazing. And if you've got any questions, type them in and I'll try and answer them at the end. Okay, so we're just going to share the screen now. I'm going to get better and better at this, I think. Right, so let's press play. Here we go. So, freaky fleas and a little bit about bottom tickling tapeworm. So be warned, there are lots and lots of what I think are actually really cool videos of fleas and worms in this talk. But if you find it a bit much, just shut the computer down or press the X button. So let's get going. Fleas are insects. How many legs does an insect have? Actually, if you count them, you can see them there. See what you can think. And they are brown and have these weird little flat bodies, so they can scuttle in between your pet's hairs in their coat. And this dude here, this is a flea under a microscope. So you can see that they've got this weird like oval body, those big legs. Fleas can really jump. They can jump. If we were a flea, we could jump the height of the Eiffel Tower. That's how high those crazy legs send those fleas. And what that means is they can quite easily jump onto our pets when they're out and about, or if they're just hanging around in our house and they want to jump off the carpet and onto our pets, they are more than capable of doing that. So here is a flea. So if you look really carefully at there on the center of the screen, you can see the little flea appear out of the coat, come into that little space in the middle. There he is. Look how easily they move between the hairs and then back again. And because they're not silly, this flea knew that I was looking for him. So he saw me and scuttled back off again as fast as he possibly could. Then look here for these guys. So this is when we're looking for fleas on a pet, we'll run a flea comb through them and we'll often put them onto cotton wool so we can see them. Those black things, that's flea dirt. And we'll talk about that later. But look at all those fleas. Can you see them? And look how easily they move through the hair. They're really, really good at getting through the hair. Okay, right. So fleas. What fleas do is that they bite our pets and they feed on their blood. So they are sucking insects and they feed on their blood and they bite them. And that means that it's quite irritating. So if you've ever been bitten by something like a mosquito,
everybody,
hang on,
thank you again for tuning in. Well, feed on their blood, so
they don't need to hear me twice. If you've ever been bitten by a mosquito, it's kind of itchy, and that's kind of the same for our pets. All pets find flea bites a little bit itchy, but some of our pets are actually allergic, and even just one flea bite can send their skin really sore, and they'll scratch or lick themselves completely raw. So it is really important, particularly if you've got a pet who's allergic to fleas, to make sure that they're protected against them. And fleas also spread worms. So fleas and worms get along very well together. And this is how they do it. So the tapeworm larvae, so the worm babies get inside the flea, live inside the flea, and then if the flea is eaten by our pet, the flea dies, but the worm lives on and grows inside our pet. And we're going to talk in a minute about how that can happen. So fleas and worms, they tag team. And that means if your cat or dog has got fleas, they've probably got worms as well. So first question of the day. Oh, hello, Alex. Hello, Rosalie. Hello, Abigail. and Lily, Martha, and Winnie all watching together. Amazing. Thanks for joining us, guys. Right, here's your first question of the day. If a cat has fleas, are they more likely to scratch or to lick? What do you think? Type the answer in the comments if you're allowed to do that. You can see my little thinking cat is back. So he's thinking, you get thinking as well. If your cat has got fleas and they're itchy because of the flea bites, what would be the sign that you would be looking out for? Would they scratch themselves or would they lick themselves? The answer's coming up soon. And there we go. So this video, this is a video that I'm quite proud of. This is a flea and a tapeworm on a table together. So I saw a pet who had fleas and a tapeworm plopped out of their bottom at the same time. So that just shows they do hang out together and they wriggle around like that. Here's your answer. If a cat has fleas, they are more likely to lick. So when cats are itchy, they don't tend to scratch themselves like dogs. When dogs are itchy, they scratch, and they'll often nibble at their paws and their legs. Whereas cats, because they're big groomers anyway, just lick, and they can lick themselves completely bald sometimes. And that's one of the reasons why fleas and tapeworms so commonly go together, because if your cat's busy, it's going to pick up a load of fleas out of its coat. It's going to eat those fleas. That's the end of the road for the flea, but the start of a beautiful life for the tapeworm. So if your pet has fleas, they probably have worms as well. So, oh, hi, Fliss and Edie. Thank you ever so much for watching. Did you get the question right? Oh, hi, Savannah. So here are some tapeworms. This is some of the pictures that I get quite excited when I see creepy crawlies on our pet. So I had to share them with you. So what you can see there on that picture with all the fluff, that is a tapeworm coming out of a cat's bottom. And they poke so they live in the intestines. And then what they do is when they're ready to lay some eggs, they poke their little heads, or actually it's their tails, out of the cat's bottom, and they have a little look. They wave hello. Look, you can see it waving at us. Hello. And then they plop off, and that is a tapeworm that's plopped off. And inside there, well, actually what that is, it's an egg packet. Inside there are more tapeworm eggs. And what that's going to do is eventually it'll stop moving, dry out, all the little eggs will pop out. Pop, 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 pop. They're teeny, teeny, tiny. And then they land in your carpet, and so two things happen at that point. The eggs get into the environment, and either then the flea larvae, which are living in the carpet, we'll come to that in a minute, eat them, and thus the circle of life starts again. Or these things can be dropped outside in the soil and they can last for ages. So if you've got a pet who's going outside, which most of them do, if they're hanging out in the grass or going in the woods, those little eggs are microscopic and they live in the environment, and then they get on their paws and they get on their coats and they eat them. They lick their paws clean when they come in from a walk. In go the worms, and that's how they get worms. If you look very carefully in the picture of this weird little tapeworm that's stretching and contracting, you can see some little white dots, and they are flea eggs. So again, fleas and worms go together. And here's how you tell if your pet has fleas. This is from my TikTok. If you're on TikTok, come and follow me. So what we do is we drag a flea comb through the coat. We put it into cotton wool. And if we see those weird little grey, those black little spots, that's flea dirt. But if you've got a cat that goes outside, they can actually look a little bit just like soil. And it can be difficult to know if it's soil or if it's flea dirt. But fleas, all they eat is blood. So all they poo is blood. And when it's dry, it looks black. But when it's wet, it goes red. So there you can see when we wet the cotton wool, those little red dots appear, and that's how you tell. And you can use a flea comb, or if you just ruffle your pet's coat, you don't have to have cotton wool, you can just use something like toilet paper. Just ruffle your pet's coat, and if little black flecks fall out, catch them on the toilet paper, stick it under the tap, open it up, and if it's gone red, then you've got flea dirt and you've got fleas. Because you don't always see the flea, particularly because cats especially will lick and groom all the fleas out. There's often not a lot of fleas actually on our pets anyway. You might not see the flea winkling its way through the coat, but you're more likely to see the flea dirt. So that's how you can tell if your pet has fleas. If you see those little black flecks and you add them to the water and see what happens. That's also one reason why using a flea comb and waiting to see fleas isn't a great way of A, diagnosing whether your pet's got fleas or not, and B, getting rid of them. Because by the time the fleas are in the coat, you've already got an infestation. Right, so here we are. So fleas, what are the symptoms? What are you looking out for in addition to looking for those flea dirt? So for dogs, the main symptoms of fleas are scratching and nibbling at themselves. So if dogs scratch themselves like mad, if they turn over and on their tummy, you might notice that they're a bit red and sore, and they'll often lick this up and down their legs and paws. But cats, like I said, they lick like mad. So you can get a scenario where the cat is licking itself like mad, it's pulling its fur out, it's going bald, you're looking desperately for the flea dirt because you know what you're looking for and you can't see a single scrap of any problem. And that's because they're so busy at cleaning themselves, they get rid of it, but the fleas are jumping on and biting and causing the problem. And they're literally like this dude down here, lick, 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 all the time. Hi, Maisie, it's great to see you. Hi, Ivy. Yes, Tash. Your cat licked themselves bald once. Yeah, they do. They quite commonly do, especially around the base of their tail. So they often get this weird little bald patch around where their tail is, at the bottom of their tail, and the fur goes really short and it can be quite scabby as well. That's completely typical. So all of these cats, these two cats and this dog in this picture have all got fleas and they've all pulled out their fur. So this is the kind of thing that you're going to be looking for if you may be worried. You can see the cat in the middle. It's not that easy to see, but that coat should be beautiful and thick and smooth. And you see that in the center there, it's kind of a bit bald and patchy. The cat on the other side has licked itself round, I call it its trousers, the back of the back legs. And you can see the skin coming through. Those trousers should be lovely and fluffy, and they're not. They're all sort of sore and bald and rubbish. And that's because that cat's got fleas and has licked himself. And the dog, this is a typical dog who's got flea allergies. It's not kind of that easy to see, but can you see how the front of the dog's really fluffy? So he's got quite a fluffy head and he's got quite fluffy shoulders. And then the rest of him looks really short and bald. He's not been to the groomers to have a posh haircut. He's done that to himself because he's so itchy with the fleas that he's just nibbled and licked and pulled all of his fur out. But like I said, fleas aren't always that easy to see, and they are very good at hiding. And sometimes there's only a few actually on your pet, and that's because your pet is a canteen for fleas. They're just the lunch. So the fleas actually, and this is a bit grim, they're living in your house, they're living in the carpets, they're living in the soft furnishings, they're living in the sofa and the curtains. And then when they're hungry, they hop out. Remember how they jump so high? And they go boing, and they jump onto your pet. They take a meal, so they take a bite, they drink their blood, they hang about for a bit, and then they ping off again. So the fleas actually are only on your pet for quite a short period of time. And if you see fleas on your pet, it probably means they've got quite a lot. But if you are looking for them, the most common places to find them are the back of the neck, at the bottom near the tail, or on the inside of the back legs. That's where I'll always look if I'm worried about fleas. But sometimes they're not that hard to spot. And these are a couple of videos that I took from some patients. Look at them. Can you see all those fleas running through the coats there? And you can see how easily they run along the fur, between the fur. And then on the other side, you can see them on that white dog's leg. They're just hanging out, just having a chill. They don't care at all. They're not worried. So that's the sort of thing that we're looking for, you know. That's quite a bad infestation. Like I said, if your pet has fleas, they are living and laying eggs in your house because they love it. In our houses, they are warm, they're cozy. There's a ready supply of food in our pets. Sometimes fleas bite people, but actually they don't like the way we taste very much. Some people, myself included, unfortunately, the fleas seem to like me quite a lot, and I do get a few flea bites, which in my job isn't always the best thing. But if you're not getting bitten, it doesn't mean that there's not fleas in your house. It's possible that there are. They just prefer the way pets taste. And here, this is one of the proudest moments. This is one of the best things I have ever captured underneath a microscope. This is a female flea laying her egg. So you can see there's one there already, and then the egg actually pops out of her bottom. And there it goes. Whoop, there it is. And she can lay 2,000 eggs in her lifetime. A female flea, any flea can live for a couple of 3 months. And in that time, she can lay 50 eggs a day, which, I mean, if I did, you know, if you want to do the maths, but it's about 2,000 eggs. So one flea can lay 2,000 eggs, which is crazy. And they like to lay, not stupid, they like to lay their eggs in warm, dark places. So the classic is under the sofa or around the edge of the living room in the crack between the carpet and the skirting board. That's where you'll mostly find them, but you probably won't find them because they're so small. Tash has asked, are ticks and fleas a thing? So ticks and fleas don't go together like tapeworms and fleas do. They're not kind of related, but particularly if your pet is going out and about, and especially if they're keen on fraternizing with the wildlife, if they're a bit of a hunter or they enjoy dashing about in the bushes, or if you live, ticks are often found in like kind of heathery areas or places where there's a lot of farmland and sheep especially, then they'll pick up ticks. I was actually going to do a talk all about all the different parasites in pets. I was going to talk about ticks and mites and all the different worms, but it turned out that if I'd have done that, we would have been here all afternoon, and I'm quite enthusiastic. I would have been fine with that. I can talk about parasites all day, but I figured that you guys might have got something else to do. It's Friday, it's the end of the week. We've made it through the first week of lockdown. Well done, everybody. Anyway, so, and here, this is one of the most disgusting photos I think I ever took. This is my friend who's an RSPCA inspector, and she's much braver than I am, and she squished this. She found a flea on one of the animals that she rescued. She squished it and out popped the eggs. So there you go. There you can see some of the eggs that were in that flea, and you can see how teeny tiny they really are. They really are very, very small. So you're never going to spot those. You're never going to spot those in your carpet. Rosalie has asked, can rabbits get fleas? Yes, they can. And rabbit fleas can infect cats and dogs, but they don't that often. And rabbit fleas are really weird. I don't have a picture. One day I really must get hold of a picture of rabbit fleas. So the other species of flea run about through the fur. What rabbit fleas do is they basically just bite on, generally on the edge of the ear. They just bite on the edge of the ear, lock in and stay there. And so especially if you've got a cat who likes to hunt rabbits, if you live somewhere in the countryside or near where there's lots of wild rabbits, every so often they will get, and you can see them all just lined up, having a little tea party on the edge of the ear, and they just stay there until they're finished, and then they drop off, but they can stay for days in the same place. Yeah, rabbit fleas are really weird, Rosalie, but you can treat them just as easily as we can cats and dogs. So this is what's happening in your house. If your pet has got fleas, this is what's happening, and this is why it's so important to keep them protected, and why if you see one flea on your pet, the whole of the rest of this pyramid is happening, because you've got that one adult flea, the lady fleas, laying 20 eggs, 50 to 20 eggs a day, 20 to 50 eggs a day, and 2,000 over her lifetime potentially. Then those eggs hatch into larvae. And then what the larvae do is then they're a bit like a butterfly in a cocoon, only not quite so beautiful when they hatch out. They go back into a pupae, and then they hatch out into the flea again. So when you see a flea, it really very much is the tip of the pyramid. And if you have got a pet with fleas, it's a really good idea, as well as treating the pet, to also treat the house. But that's actually really easily done. If you pop down to your vets, we can give you a spray, and you can spray all the carpets and curtains and whatnot and get rid of any fleas that happen to be hanging about in the environment rather than just on your pet. Yeah, I know, Caitlin. It is weird, but they're kind of clever. You have to sort of hand it to fleas. They know what they're doing. They've really got it down. And Ophelia asked, can all animals get fleas? So yes, all warm-blooded animals get fleas. Someone asked earlier, do reptiles get fleas? Now, I don't think so. I don't think I've ever seen a lizard with fleas, but they can get mites. So they can get parasites, but I don't think they can get fleas, but I'm not a lizard vet. So you might have to ask somebody else to be 100% sure, but I've never seen a lizard with a flea. So maybe not. Right, so, but where do they come from? This is the thing, is if you've seen one on your pet, like how did they get there? So they can come from the wildlife. If your cat particularly is a big hunter, or if your dog loves to go and chase the rabbits outside, or you've got maybe like foxes at the bottom of your garden, if you're lucky enough to have that, the fleas that live on a lot of our wildlife will also live on our cats and dogs, and I'll be quite happy to ping from one to the other if they get close enough. Interestingly, the one thing that I learned really recently is hedgehogs can get fleas, but hedgehog fleas don't infect any other animals. Hedgehog fleas are very exclusive. All the other kind of flea, they don't care. They're quite happy to eat anybody. Other pets. So if you've got cats and dogs, you know, often the dogs will go on a walk, pick up a flea. Even if your cat never leaves the house, the flea comes back in on the dog and infects the cat. Outside, they just have to go outside. The fleas, especially in the warmer weather, spring and summer, the fleas are just hanging out outside like they hang out in our house. And if your dog happens to be passing when a flea's feeling peckish and it jumps on and it stays there while your pet comes home again, then boom, it's moved to a new house and it's really enjoying itself. The amount of people who I say, oh, your pet's got fleas, and they say, well, I don't understand. She only goes in the garden. I say, oh yes, that's outside. A lot of people kind of think that you have to go miles into the countryside to pick up fleas. No. They're hanging out in your flower beds as well as in your carpets. And us, even if you've got cats that never go out of the house, lots of people have got cats that are 100% indoors. If we go out for a walk in the countryside, the fleas might jump on our clothes and we're going to bring them in. And then the fleas are like, oh, this is nice. There's a cat here and it's lovely and warm and I'm going to stay. So it's really important, even if you have got cats that never leave the house, or rabbits, some rabbits live indoors as well, then, it still means that you have to keep them protected. Rebecca's dog upset a hedgehog nest once and came home, running in covered in fleas. Yeah, hedgehogs are like flea central. So how do we get rid of them? That's the big question, isn't it? If you've got fleas on your pets, how are you going to get rid of them? So you come to see somebody like me. That's what you do. And we can either use Spot On. So these are medicines which are in a little pipette. What you do is you crack open the pipette and then you get your pet, and you open the hair, part the hair on the back of their neck, or you get your mum or dad too. If you want to do it yourself, that's great, but always have an adult to help you with this kind of thing. You part the hair on the back of the neck, you pop it on like that, and then you fold it up. And my top tips for that are do it on the back of the neck. The reason we do it on the back of the neck isn't because that place is particularly special. It just means that your pet can't lick it off. Because you put anything on a cat, if they can reach it, it's gone. And a dog as well, they're like, oh, what's this? I'm going to inspect it. So on the back of the neck, they can't reach it to lick it off, because if they lick it off, it doesn't work. So we need it to soak directly into the skin. And my other top tip for this is it doesn't do you any harm if you get spot-ons on your fingers, but it is really annoying. So do it just before they go to bed, and it's dry by the time they wake up in the morning. And don't forget to wash your hands afterwards. Or tablets are the other thing. Now, people get really worried about feeding tablets to their pets because some pets don't like tablets and it can be dead hard to get them in. But here is my cat. Now, his name is Fatty and he is quite greedy. So he is a bit, he's not terribly fussy about what he eats. But this video just proves that the flea tablets, particularly the ones from your vets, are genuinely really tasty. And they'll eat them quite happily like a little snack. And then you can feel all smug. You're like, oh, it wasn't a snack, it was your medicine and it's gone now. But here's what I don't recommend, because if you go down a pet shop, there's loads of things that you can buy to treat fleas, and your mum and dad might be like, well, I've brought home this shampoo. If you fancy giving your cat a bath, then you are very welcome to. And then afterward, you can go straight to the hospital to have all your wounds repaired, because cats do not enjoy being shampooed, and dogs, it's just a mammoth task, isn't it? And then you're done, they shake themselves off, run into the garden and roll in the mud again. And actually, flea shampoos are really inefficient. They don't work very well. They could probably kill the fleas a bit by like drowning them, but they don't work particularly well. And one of the reasons they don't work very well is because the fleas on your pet are not really the problem. So you get rid of the fleas on the pet and you think, oh, this is amazing, there's no fleas. But there's a load more. All their cousins and uncles and aunts and brothers and sisters are waiting in the carpet. And as soon as your pet is clean and dry again and back on the carpet, the fleas are just going to jump straight back on. The spot-ons and tablets have a lasting effect. And if any more fleas jump on, those fleas die, whereas the shampoos don't. Flea collars, I also don't recommend these, because what happens if you've got a flea collar, if you get absolutely no fleas around the back of the neck where the collar is, they're all just living at the base of the tail instead. So they just move away, they just move out. They move out from the suburb of the back of the neck and they just go and hang out at the bottom of the tail as well. So flea collars, the vast majority. There's one kind of flea collar you can get from your vet that actually is very good. And if you prefer a collar, that's the one I would recommend, and you can ask your vet about that. But most of them, particularly the ones from the shops, I mean, they look kind of cute, but they're no good for fleas. And there we have it, a quick whistle-stop tour through fleas and worms. It's something that I think is quite fun and interesting, and there's a lot to learn when you start to look into it. But mainly I enjoy it because when I find them, I get to do things like shove them under a microscope and have a look at them, or take a video of them waving at me out of their bottoms. So there we are. Thank you so much for watching. Let me just get rid of this screen and come back to you all big. Hi guys, I hope you enjoyed that. It is a bit of a weird one, but it's important. If we own pets, we have to learn about the parasites and how to keep them healthy and protect them against things like that. So I hope you learned something new today. If you did like it and you would like to know about other things like mites or ticks or worms or anything like that, please just let me know, because I've got a huge number of pictures and videos that I could share with you about that. So let's have a little look about oh, hi Abigail, you really enjoyed that. That's amazing. I'm so pleased. Can dogs have fleas? And if they can, what fleas are they from? Ivy. Hi Ivy. So here's an interesting fact. There's cat fleas and there's dog fleas, and actually there's rabbit fleas, but rabbit fleas are less common. Cat fleas are by far the most common, and the cat fleas can live on cats and dogs. So I don't really know why we call them cat fleas, because they live on cats and they live on dogs. And dog fleas can live on cats and dogs as well. So there's lots of types of fleas, but they're all treated by the same medicine. So don't worry about them. Your dog doesn't like tablets, Maisie. Well, that's okay, because like I said, you can give them a spot on instead. There's lots of different ways. And if you chat to your vet and tell your vet about your pet's likes and dislikes, then we can figure out what's going to be the perfect medicine for them. So they'll actually take it, because there's no point in buying a tablet for fleas from the vet. If the tablet doesn't go into the dog, then it's no use, is it? If it doesn't go into the dog, then it doesn't work. Reese says that hedgehogs have spikes and they could stab the ticks. Reese, you'd think so. You'd think so, but although the hedgehogs are spiky, there's actually quite a lot of space between the spikes. I tell you what I will do, Reese, for you and for anyone who's interested, is I have actually got a video of a hedgehog with lots of fleas under an anaesthetic. I'll post it in the comments after we're done, and you can see this. The hedgehog is asleep, and because we use an anaesthetic gas to put the hedgehogs to sleep, the other thing we do is actually put all the fleas to sleep. So all these little fleas having a little nap, falling off the hedgehog. So I'll put that in the comments and you can see that. And Laura says, or whoever's on Laura's account says, do I have any pets? Yes, I have a cat. You've seen him eat a tablet for me. He's very good. His name is actually Fatty. He did come to us with another name because he was a rescue, but he was so fat, not very fat anymore. We put him on a diet. We nicknamed him Fatty and it stuck. So yeah, my cat's called Fatty and people think that's hilarious. And Alex, you've got 5 rats, 5 mice and 8 fish. That's loads. I hope you look after them well. Diddly-dee. Can fleas live in artificial grass? Yes, they can pretty much live anywhere. If they can live in a carpet, they can live in artificial grass. So yeah, they can live outside and they can live inside. They don't do much outside in the cold weather. They like it warm. So what happens is, do you know the worst time of year to have fleas? Another flea fact for you. It's the autumn and winter. Because in the summer and spring, the fleas are living outside and they're kind of hopping on our pets and then hopping off back into the grass again because they can survive outside. But in the winter, they can't. So what they do is, come the wet or cold weather, they jump on our dogs and then they stay there because it's nice and warm. And then the dog comes home and they're like, oh, this is nice. It's nice and warm. We've turned on our central heating and turned our houses into flea paradises. So the worst time of year for fleas, for pets, is actually the winter months. Donna or whoever, thanks Caitlin, she wants to learn about mites, and Donna, whoever's on Donna's account, does as well. Amazing. And someone's got a horse called Harvey and a dog called Mally from Maisie. Hi Maisie, thank you so much for joining in. How long does the lifestyle take? 9 months to eradicate an infection. So this is a bit technical. The life cycle of a flea doesn't take very long, especially under favourable conditions, like a house with central heating and a dog on tap for their food. Can take a month, less, probably 2 to 3 weeks maybe. But if you keep your pet protected, because the way the protection works is, once they've got the medicine on board, that keeps them protected. So the fleas jump onto the pet, they bite, or sometimes the medicine's in the dander on the fur, they bite, they die. That flea can't lay any eggs. So the other reason that vet products are so much better than the ones you get in the supermarkets is that really efficient. They kill the flea very, very fast, which means that flea then can't lay any eggs. Some of the stuff you get from the pet shops does kill them, but it kills them slowly. So you put the stuff on the back of their neck and you think, marvelous, they're all gone, I can't see any fleas. And then 3 weeks later, suddenly the problem's back again. And that's because those fleas laid their eggs, they died, but their memory lives on in their babies. And their babies come back. And then you've got the whole problem again. And that's one of the big reasons why people come and say, I can't clear the flea infestation out of my pets. Why? And it's because the flea stuff they're using isn't very efficient, and it doesn't kill them quickly enough, so their eggs are still being laid. Told you. We could literally talk about fleas all day. What else do you want to know? A session about cat allergies. Yeah, we could talk about cat allergies. Oh, here we go. Do you know what the most common thing that cats are allergic to? I'll give you a clue. We've just spent the last half an hour talking about it. It's fleas. By far the most common allergy that we see in cats is fleas. So if you've got a cat with sensitive skin and with allergies, if you keep them properly protected against fleas, then you may actually completely cure all of their allergies without doing actually anything else at all, particularly if you use stuff from the vets, because it's so efficient, it kills them so quickly and stops all the life cycle issues and reduces the number of bites that they get. Right, we have hit half an hour, guys, and thank you so much for all your questions. Oh, Maisie, your mum's a veterinary nurse. Let me tell you, veterinary nurses are some of the best people on the planet. So you tell your mum thank you ever so much from me, because without veterinary nurses, vets like me, we just couldn't do our jobs at all. So your mum is a superhero. You tell her that from me. Okay, it has been such fun. So I will see you next week. These are going out every Wednesday and every Friday while you guys are off school at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And next week on Wednesday, we're probably going to be doing rabbits. And then on Friday, we're going to be doing poo. So stand by for lots more icky, disgusting pictures. And you're going to learn a lot about rabbits and a lot about poo. So thanks ever so much for joining me, guys. I will see you again soon. Bye.